Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled You're Not Black. I was working in a college town that had a really amazing, diverse food scene. One day during lunch, I walked over to my favorite Ethiopian restaurant. It was a super relaxed environment inside. They were kind of nestled into a shopping plaza, had dim lighting, and had mismatching dining room tables and chairs that kind of made you feel like you were at a cool aunt's house. You just knew you were going to have the best meal of your life based on all of that. When you first walk in, there is a beverage cooler directly to the right of you, and a counter with a cash register on the kitchen side and menus on the patron side. Then the random tables plus chairs were kind of haphazardly scattered about. The ladies who worked there knew me and my typical order, so after paying, I hung out fiddling with my phone on the patron side of the counter. Adding this crucial detail only because it comes in later, but at the time, this other patron, who is white, let's call her DG for dumb girl, enters. I am the only other non-post C in the establishment, a pale pasty ginger. So DG walks in and kind of starts hovering by the beverage cooler looking around. This is more of one of those places you walk in, order at the counter, and seat yourself. If there's no one at the counter, then it would make sense to wait around up front or seat yourself and wait. The main waitress had just gone back to the kitchen to get my food, so I was awkwardly standing in front of the menus and kind of just assumed she knew the flow of things here. In DG defense, I was wearing all black clothes, kind of the typical wardrobe for a waitress. I finally acknowledged her after she started sighing and tapping her foot, and asked if I was blocking her way to the menus. She responded with a very catty, "It took you long enough. You're just standing there on your phone ignoring a paying customer. Do you not want my business?" I was totally caught off guard and didn't say a word, just slid over a menu to her. I guess I could understand her being confused, but again, this was by no means a fancy place. Right after she said that, the waitress walked out from the kitchen with my food in a bag and told me to have a nice day. The looks on DG's face switched from embarrassment to confusion to annoyance until she finally looked at me and responded with, "Well, yeah, that makes sense. You're not black. Why would someone like you work here? That's what we get for coming to a place like this, right?" And then she laughed in that way that white people do sometimes when they're trying to get other white people to agree with them on something sort of racist. It made me uncomfortable and didn't make sense anyway. I just said, "I don't know what you mean," and walked out to my car. I ended up asking the main waitress about DG the next week. Apparently, DG sent her food back twice, saying that it was too spicy, and ended up demanding a comped meal. Needless to say, I never saw DG again. The next story is titled I Was Attacked for Not Being a Bakery Worker. I work for a very popular cranberry airline here in Germany. I do not work at the airport, but sometimes I have to check the planes and make sure the cabin crew is rested and that they have their legs all fulfilled. I also have to write reports. My uniform is dark red. I wear dark red slacks, black high heel pumps, a white button-down, and a dark red blazer. There is no way in hell you could mistake me for something else than an airline employee. Cue Easter. Easter was madness because the price of the flights has dropped significantly. Everyone was flying. Children, who definitely were not on spring break yet, were traveling. It was very stressful. I spent most of the time at our base airport writing flight reports. I hate writing flight reports, and I thought a coffee would help me get through this task easier. So I got up, left the office, and went to the bakery in the security area of the terminal. This bakery makes the best latte around. Also, this bakery sports a nice white uniform, which consists of a white polo shirt with the logo of the bakery on it. I was just about to order my extra big latte when this woman just stepped in front of me. She basically started yelling "Hi, can I get," and rattled down her order. The bakery employee just looked at her and mentioned that I was first and in the middle of ordering something and that he would deal with me first before he could accept her order. This lady was an older, small lady with very white and long hair. She looked like a grandma, but she destroyed this image by basically screaming at me and the employee. "She is working here. She can get her stuff later. I have a flight to catch." I told the bakery dude that it is fine, that I can wait, and I asked the little lady what kind of flight she was taking. She took it as an insult. "You don't need to know which flight I'm taking." It is not your business. You should better clean the display, look how dirty it is." And she smeared with her little hands on the glass of the display. Apparently, she thought I worked at the bakery. I tried to explain multiple times that I was an airline worker, and that the flight she is taking likely be one of the planes I'm managing, because 75% of the flights at this airport were operated by us. She continued screaming and I stopped talking to her, since it didn't make any sense to waste more time with her. For some reason, she didn't like my silence. She kept talking and berating me, telling me how bad I am at my job, etc. I was thinking about following her to the gate to find out where she is flying to, because this lady clearly wasn't stable enough to fly, when she suddenly hit me with her luggage. To clarify, I wasn't prepared to hit at all. Also, her luggage was heavy, and it was one of these old suitcases that were made out of metal. Security got called by the employee of the bakery, and they gave me the latte for free. This lady was actually a standby passenger on an overbooked flight, so she was definitely going to miss it. It wasn't a flight with the airline I work for, but the cabin crew heard of her behavior and banned her for this flight anyways. After this ordeal, I got back to the office to complete my flight records and I sighed, because now I needed to write up an incident report for this crazy lady who just assaulted me. I just drank my coffee and got it over with. My foot has a bruise as big as a plate, by the way. The next story is entitled Neighbor Complains About Our Noise, ends up losing $8,000. Sometime around 2002, my wife and I moved into an 1,100 SQFT condominium with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. We were very fortunate to get this condominium as a second owner, and we paid only $114,000, $6,000 more than the original price. Our condo was on the 3rd floor, and all rooms were carpeted throughout the condo with only one small 4x4 square of linoleum inside the front door to the outside breezeway. This will become important later. And yes, even the bathrooms, kitchen, and dining room were carpeted. The front door opened to a large open space with vaulted ceilings, with the great room to the left and the dining room and kitchen to the right. The kitchen area was separated from the great room with a wall that had a cutout over the kitchen sink, and we had a long hallway directly going out of the great room to all the bedrooms and straight in front of the front door. The neighbors directly below us were a young couple that were attending university and were nice and cordial with us. Shortly after they graduated, they rented out their condo to her brother and his college friends. The brother was a decent guy, and we mostly had no problems except for one of his birthdays, where their music and boisterous conversations and happy birthdays, etc., kept us up until 4:30 a.m. in the morning. My wife and I returned the favor by blasting our music the very next morning at 8:00 a.m. But we talked a couple of weeks later and all had a laugh about it and never had any real problems after that. Between 2004 and 2006, we changed all the flooring in the kitchen and dining room to ceramic tile, including the area in front of the front door, to avoid having to pay for carpet cleaning in the dining or kitchen area due to spills or our young daughter throwing food on the floor from her high chair. In 2007, our cordial neighbors sold their condo to an older newlywed couple, late 20s to early 30s. Now, if anyone has lived in between a first and a third floor condo or apartment, you will know that it is the worst place to be if you expect silence. With kids or music, you will always have some noise that filters through the floor or ceiling. I don't know what they were thinking or expecting when they moved in there. I was blissfully unaware that the condo had been sold until one day about a month later, I brought home a powered subwoofer and hooked it up to my home theater sound system around 6 p.m. I promptly put on an action flick with some big explosions and sat down to enjoy the new and improved immersive sound. After a little bit of gunfire and 2 explosions, I hear the doorbell ding-dong. I get up and immediately hear ding-dong again. I walk the 5FT to my front door and open it to see my entitled neighbor, I'll call her Karen, standing on my doorstep. Me, hi, can I help you? Very agitated Karen, my husband and I are trying to enjoy a quiet and peaceful dinner. Can you please turn down whatever show you are watching? We can hear everything that's going on. Me, oh, sure. Sorry about that. She turned around and walked away. I closed the door, turned the subwoofer down a ways and the main volume down a bit, and explosions. I hear the ding-dong and then some rapid fire knocking at my door. I paused my movie and then I opened the door to see Karen again. Me, ooh, hi. What can I do for you? Karen, we can still hear everything from your show. You need to turn it down now. At this point, I was a little fed up with her crap, and decided to call her on it. Me, you said you can hear everything. Can you give me some of the last dialogue you heard? Karen, I don't know. I just know you are watching XXXX show. She was totally wrong. Me, no. I'm actually watching Yi movie and here are the last 3 lines of dialogue and I gave her those lines. Me, it seems you can't hear my movie as well as you are claiming. Karen, with blazing eyes and red in the face, I don't care. It's too loud. You need to turn it down. Me, actually noise ordinance says I don't have to turn it down until 10 p.m. Karen, getting huffy, fine. I guess my husband and I will have to go out to eat to get some peace and quiet. Me, in my most cheerful voice and waving, have a good night. I then turned my subwoofer up a little and the main volume back up to its previous level and enjoyed the rest of my movie. The neighbors did end up going out that night for dinner or whatever. At our next HOA meeting, Karen stands up and complains long and loud about the noise. How she can hear kids jumping on the carpeted floor, we had a 4-year-old, and crying, we had a new baby, and hear us walking up and down our hallway and hear our music and movies and TV shows, and how the Hispanic neighbors on the first floor play their music on Saturday mornings so loud they can't sleep in and argue, so loud they can hear every word, etc., etc. Ad nauseum. This went on for 6 months. Every time she complained, the HOA told her if it's between the hours of 8 a.m., 10 p.m., we can do nothing. If it's after 10 p.m. and before 8 a.m., you can call the police. And then the HOA would send out a letter by U.S. mail asking everyone to be cognizant of their neighbors and laying out the local city noise ordinance. I finally stopped attending the HOA meetings after month 3 of the same bullcrap. She never failed to visit at least once or twice in the week after these notices, and twice she taped them to my door. I also learned during this time that they were members of our church and had actually been assigned to visit us each month. They never did. Cue the pro-revenge. Around the 6-7-month mark of her constant complaints and harassment, and even a couple of visits from some very apologetic police officers after 11 p.m. at night, they said they could hear nothing outside of my condo door. We decided to upgrade our flooring. We knew this would inflame our entitled neighbor, but we didn't care as we were tired of the constant stream of complaints from them. We chose to extend the entry tile all the way from the front door, down the long hallway to the master bedroom door, and we wanted to tile the bathrooms as well. We also went with a light coffee-colored bamboo hardwood in our great room. So demolition first. We tore out the carpet and tack strips and pried the base molding trim off the walls. As I'm removing the last of the nails from the walls and subfloor about noon on a Saturday, wouldn't you know it, bang, 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 from the front door. Me? Yes. Karen, can you keep it down? I'm trying to have a pampered chef party. Me? Sure. I promptly finished pulling or driving in nails and then proceeded to bang my hammer all over the subflooring like I was driving loads of new nails for the next hour, and made sure to turn on my stereo to the local hard rock station and turn it up for the next 4 hours. FYI, the 1RST floor neighbors were already blaring some great mariachi music. They did this every Saturday and Sunday as they cleaned their condo from top to bottom. We then rented a hardwood floor nailer that, in addition to compressor noise and to loudly driving a nail into the flooring and subfloor, also had to be struck with a large deadblow hammer. Bang, bang, bang. It took us 2-3 days to install the coffee-colored bamboo hardwood flooring in the great room, and we were sure it was driving Karen absolutely batty. We ended up installing an awesome tile inlay down the hall, had tile running from the front door to the master bedroom door along the great room side of the divider wall, tile in the dining room, kitchen, and both bathrooms. We got the base molding on, more nail gun and compressor fun, and caulk. The new floors looked amazing, and the bonus was, every time a hard shoe, like my daughter's favorite Sunday shoes she wore everywhere, every day, or high heel. My wife chose to learn how to do everything in 4-6-inch stilettos during this time. Struck the floor, it was like the impact complaining. It was also in preparation to sell our condo, as we had grown out of it by this time. We sold it within 1 month of listing at $160,000. During closing, the real estate agent for the new owners told us that the floors absolutely sold this place. We also sold at the very top of the real estate boom right before the real estate market crashed. We later learned from some of our neighbors that within 9 months of our selling our condo, the second floor entitled neighbors moved out and sold their condo for $30,000 less than we had, and took about $8,000 loss, and sent a letter of complaint to the HOA stating their condo was unlivable because of the noise from our incredible floors. Additional detail and clarification. I only used the subwoofer the one time. I got rid of it a few days later. We are very conscientious neighbors. We did not listen to music or shows/movies at loud levels, generally -65 dB to -50 dB. Stereo range was from -90 dB silent to 0 dB extremely loud. We also did not listen to the stereo or watch movies using our stereo at night or past 10 p.m. We were not heavy-footed and generally walked around in our socks or bare feet, and a 22 lb toddler walking down a carpeted hallway. It's only loud enough to barely hear in absolute silence in the hallway, let alone through a floor. During the weekdays, we were at work 8 a.m., 4 p.m., and our daughter, and our later son, was at child care. The next story is titled Lady Grabs Me by the Collar in Walmart. I worked at PetSmart during most of my undergraduate degree. We were in a strip mall type area, as most are, which ended with our store pretty much right in a massive Walmart parking lot. This was great when we needed supplies like Sharpies for writing codes on the fish bags or something like that. It wasn't uncommon that I would run over on my break to buy an energy drink or lunch or something for the store. On this day in 2012, I was being really dumb. It was finals week and I was running on 2 hours of sleep for the last 5 days in a row, completely on autopilot. Our uniform at the time was khaki pants and a light blue collar's shirt with PetSmart on the back in huge red letters. We also had just gotten headsets. I went over to pick up a small whiteboard for my department and completely forgot to not only take off my work shirt, but my headset as well. I tried to stuff it in my pockets as best I could, but anyone who knows ladies' dress pants knows that was not happening. But I was already in the store by the time I realized, so I decided to rush and hope it would be okay. So I'm crouched down digging through the cheap whiteboards on the bottom shelf, trying to find one that isn't broken, and suddenly I'm knocked on my ass. This woman grabbed my collar, right above the big PetSmart logo, and it pulled me over. I turned to look at her and said, "Excuse me, are you all right?" My retail brain was still on, and I also maybe thought she'd grabbed me to keep from falling or something. I don't know, I was pretty out of it. She starts shouting about the lack of good employees these days. She was maybe in her 60s, small-framed and loud. This is when I realized and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't work here actually." I pointed at the logo on my back. She goes off about how I'm clearly a manager, pointing at my headset. By now, I'm clutching my whiteboard and trying to leave. I again apologized, said no, I work at the pet store across the way, and pointed at the small logo on my name tag. I think she took this to mean I worked at the pet department in the Walmart. After a couple of minutes of arguing, while I backed away and managed to make it halfway to the register, she asked for my manager. I told her his name is Steven. He works at PetSmart. If you go over there, you can talk to him. I thought she got it finally because she stormed off. I paid for my things and went back across the way. It wasn't until an hour later, but she came in. She asked the cashier for the manager, while I spied from a couple aisles over. She actually tried to make a complaint about me not helping her at our sister store. My manager essentially laughed her off and told her he couldn't do anything about what I did on my breaks. She left threatening to call corporate, but I never heard anything. I can only assume she called Walmart corporate to make the complaint. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.